It's a grand slam deal for Boston in the sense that it's good value adding Brogdon, which fills a need for that roster. I love it for the Celtics.
Let me ask you about the other trade that we have not spoken about yet that happened after we last recorded, which is the Brogdon deal. Malcolm Brogdon going to Boston. I feel like that's a big one that probably hasn't gotten as much talk. I'm aware of his lack of availability in the past that has certainly changed people's minds about Malcolm Brogdon. That being said, if we're doing pie in the sky and we envision a healthy Malcolm Brogdon, which might be a bit of a stretch, to me, I thought this was a great deal for Boston in terms of what they gave up and what they possibly got. To me, that's the kind of risk well worth taking, because you try to keep the kid healthy as much as you possibly can. You know, when he is healthy, he's really good. You know that playoff basketball many times becomes half-court basketball. And I think he fills a real need that they had last year. And again, I look up and I say, all right, I gave up guys that weren't playing for me. When the going got the toughest, these were unplayable players. And that's what I gave up. So, I don't know, man. I really like the Brogdon deal. What about you?
I love it for Boston. I mean, like you mentioned, the lack of availability, some of the long-term health concerns with the foot and all that. True. But Brogdon's a damn good player, man. Like he's just one of those connective pieces. Good passer, high IQ, knows how to play. He's going to fit right into that system quickly, just like Derek White did last year. And Brogdon's a better creator, a better shooter, a better scorer, and he can defend, in their system. So I think for Boston, adding his ball handling presence, I believe there's a report out there that they view him as the sixth man coming off the bench. So you're upgrading from Peyton Pritchard with Brogdon. Like I think for the Celtics, giving up what they did, which was a 2023 first, Nesmith, Tice, and then salary fill in that deal. Like it's a grand slam deal for Boston in the sense that it's good value adding Brogdon, which fills a need for that roster. I love it for the Celtics.
Feels very Haywardy though, in terms of
the role that he'll play.
And no, and I'm talking about in Charlotte, where it's like, wow, this guy, look how good this team is when this guy is playing. And their record with Hayward has been great. Look how good that team is when Gordon Hayward plays. But Gordon Hayward gets injured and Gordon Hayward stays injured. And what the hell were you expecting? That's the only downside to this, in my mind, right? Is that you look up and you go, wow, the guy that has never stayed healthy isn't available for him. Surprise, surprise. Like that's the real legitimate risk. And that is exactly why they were able to attain him for what seems like meager return. What do you think on Nesmith? He came in that one time during the playoffs and blocked those shots and was like high energy. And all I can remember is when it came to that draft, I talked to an NBA GM after Memphis drafted Desmond Bane. And I said, what do you think about this? An opposing GM. And he said, the two best shooters that we saw were the kid from Vanderbilt, Nesmith, and Bane. He said, that's what I'll tell you. Like, I think those are the two best shooters in the entire draft. He got drafted to a place that was not, you're playing two awesome guys 48 minutes a game, and he's not necessarily a natural fit with them. But what do you think on Nesmith? Just still way too early to tell? Do you think there's a chance Nesmith becomes a really significant player in the league? Like, I guess that is the one piece of that is fascinating to me.
He said in his Exeter interview, he said it's mental, like the lack of success shooting. I forget the exact comment. I'm paraphrasing here, but I remember him saying something like, I just need some time off, weeks off. take a step away from the game. He's like, I'm still confident in my shot, but I need to, just take a mental break to get back to doing it at a high level. And you would hope, someone who might be putting too much pressure on themselves, getting anxious on the floor, that like it's not like a too big of a stage type of thing, because he shot the lights out in college. We know that guy's got a flamethrower.
You remember that was such a weird year. I did make excuses for some of that class where it was like, your college season got canceled. There was no no draft. Like the draft workouts were weird. The summer league situation was absolute. Training camp sucked, and it was like, all of it was a hard time to come into the league.
That, and also, like, I think that year in Vanderbilt's, that was the empty gym year, if I remember correctly. Or maybe the year that that was 1920. So no, it wasn't. 1920 was his last year at Vanderbilt. So that was when the season was canceled.
Yeah.
So it was full gyms for his.
But they didn't even play like SEC tournament. Remember, they all showed up to the SEC tournament, and then they were like, "Yeah, okay, we're not playing this."
That's wild.
Like, that was conference tournaments all got canceled.
That's crazy
that day. But I'm just saying, like,
what a time.
Everything about those kids, some have obviously overcome it. But everything about those kids coming into the league and their whole situation with the draft and the draft workouts and the summer league, it's easy to forget just how friggin' weird that all was. And then the next year was a bubble year, and then it was another non-training camp weird year. So there's some of these guys that got drafted like around then that I still like think, man, if there's going to come a time where everything starts to get like legit normal and normalized, and we may see some of these guys pop off that have not yet, because this has all just been a whirlwind for 20 months. Ridiculous. I can't imagine trying to, it's been hard enough living with something stable going on in my own life. Like, imagine if you like go from leaving college to becoming a pro, but being indoors and wearing a mask all the time while you're trying to do all of this at the same time and take on a new life. And it's like,
and also you're 19, 20 years old.
I know.
And you have all this new money in your life.
Now, some of them may just not make it, but I'm saying if there was ever young players that deserve excuse, to me, it's them.